Hello, my name is Rhonda Thissen, and I'm a senior disability rights advocate at the Disability Law Center of Virginia. In this video, I'm going to be explaining the basics of advanced directives for healthcare and also talk a little bit about supported decision-making plans. Advanced directives and supported decision-making plans are documents that people with disabilities can make that allow them to state their preferences for how they will make the choices that affect their daily lives. These documents also allow the individual to choose supporters, people they trust, who can help them make decisions that affect them. Advanced healthcare directives allow a person under Virginia law to appoint a healthcare agent to make their decisions and state their decisions for healthcare when they're not able to. So thank you for joining me for Advanced Directives, Supported Decision-Making, What You Should Know. The Disability Law Center, also known as dLCV, is the protection and advocacy system that works with and on behalf of people with disabilities in Virginia. Each state has one protection and advocacy system that is recognized by the state and federal government. We provide advocacy and legal services to protect people's legal, human, and civil rights. We're a client-driven agency, meaning we strive to promote the individual's choice and self-determination in all our work. Our recognition by the federal government gives us particular authority to investigate situations in which people with disabilities are abused, neglected, or exploited. At dLCV, we work to ensure that people with disabilities are free from abuse and neglect, that they have access to government services, that children with disabilities receive an appropriate education, that people with disabilities live in the most appropriate integrated environment, are employed to their maximum potential, have access to appropriate and necessary health care, and become better self-advocates through education and training. We offer information and referral services, advocacy assistance, legal representation. We monitor and investigate facilities where people with disabilities live or are placed, and provide education and outreach to people with disabilities so they know their rights and can advocate for themselves. So what is advanced care planning? This is a process you can go through to think about the types of healthcare you want, decide what types of treatments you would or wouldn't want if you were faced with a healthcare issue that is potentially life-threatening or life-limiting, meaning it would limit your mobility or your life in negative ways. Through advanced care planning, you talk with your doctors and loved ones, for example, your family and friends, to discuss your choices for healthcare and put those choices down in writing. You can also identify a person you trust to make medical decisions for you if you weren't able to do so. So what is an advanced directive? This is a legal document you can create in which you state your choices for healthcare you would want or would not want when you lack the capacity to make your own decisions. You must have capacity in order to create a legal advanced directive. So let me explain the concept of capacity. Capacity is the ability to understand information to make an informed decision, meaning you understand the risks and benefits of a particular action, and the ability to communicate your decisions to other people. Adults under the law in Virginia are assumed to have capacity, but a person can't make a legally binding decision when they lack capacity. So what does an advanced directive do? It allows you to state your wishes for healthcare that you would want or don't want when you lack capacity to make your own decisions. You can also appoint a healthcare agent, which could be a family member, a friend, or other person you trust, who will make decisions for you when you lack the capacity. In Virginia, state law also allows a person creating an advanced directive to state their wishes for end-of-life care, meaning when they have a terminal illness or a condition that will result in their death. There are a lot of choices you can include in your advanced directive. You can state your choices of alternatives to inpatient treatment or hospitalization, such as home health care. You can state your choice of a facility or facilities you would want or not want to go to, such as a hospital or a rehabilitation facility. You can name physicians you want or don't want to treat you. You can list medications that you do or don't want to take. You can list people you do or don't want to visit you when you're ill. You can state whether or not you want to donate your organs when you die. And you can state whether or not you want to participate in medical research or clinical trials of medications or other treatments, whether they would benefit you or not. So what's a healthcare agent? As I said earlier, in an advance directive, you can identify a person to serve as your healthcare agent. A healthcare agent is a person you trust and who understands your values and wishes for healthcare. This could be a spouse or partner, a friend, a family member, or another person you trust, like a church leader. If your doctor says you lack capacity, your healthcare agent was responsible for informing your healthcare providers of your choices and wishes for healthcare based on the information you've provided in your advance directive. Under Virginia law, a healthcare agent has certain powers, including they can consent to, deny, or withdraw healthcare for you. They can obtain your medical records. They can hire and fire your healthcare providers. They can give their consent to your admission to a hospital or other healthcare facility. And they can give their consent to discharge you from a hospital or other healthcare facility. You might be asking at this point how advance directives are actually used. How does an advance directive turn on or become effective? If two physicians or a physician and a clinical psychologist believe you lack capacity to make safe decisions for yourself, your advance directive becomes active. If you appointed a healthcare agent, that person can then make decisions and choices for you based on the wishes you stated in your advance directive. I hope you're now starting to think about your own advance directive. Preparing to create an advance directive requires that you think about your choices for healthcare. What medications, treatments, or facilities would you accept or reject? This is a good time to talk with people you trust. Think about discussing these issues with your partner, family, friends, faith leaders, or others close to you. One big decision you'll make when developing an advance directive is appointing your healthcare agent if you decide you want one. As I said earlier, the person you choose as your agent should be someone you trust to carry out your wishes and choices. The person should be willing and available to serve as your agent, meaning that they'll respond to your healthcare providers and be involved in your care if your advance directive is ever activated. If you don't know if they will, you might consider appointing an alternate or co-agent who can serve if they're not available. dLCV recommends you appoint only one primary agent, though. Your co-agent or alternative agent should only serve when your primary agent is not able to. You will also want to consider whether the person you want to be your healthcare agent understands your beliefs and values, and be sure they don't have any conflict of interest. A conflict of interest happens when your healthcare agent stands to benefit from any of the decisions they make for you. Here are some points to consider when thinking about appointing an agent. Would the person be willing to speak on your behalf? Would this person be willing to act on your wishes and separate his or her own feelings from yours? Does this person live close by, or could he or she travel to be at your side if needed? Does this person know you well and understand what's important to you? Could they handle the responsibility of serving as your healthcare agent? Will this person talk with you now about sensitive issues, and will he or she listen to your wishes? Will this person likely be available long into the future, as your advance directive, unless you change it, is in effect until you revoke it or you amend it? Will this person be able to handle conflicting opinions between family members, friends, and medical personnel? And can this person be a strong advocate in the face of unresponsive doctors or institutions such as hospitals? Once you've created your advance directive, finalizing it is easy. To be a legal document, the advance directive requires your signature and the signature of two witnesses. Find two people who are willing to witness you signing the document. Sign it in front of them and then have them sign it. Virginia law does not require a notary signature on advance directive, but dLCV does recommend it. Once you and your witnesses have signed the document and it's notarized if you choose to do so, give copies to your healthcare agent, your doctors, family members, and other important people in your life. Keep a list of the people you've given copies to in case you ever need to update your advance directive. We have a handy form on our website for this purpose, and I will be talking about dLCV's resources at the end of this video. If you like, you can create an account on the Virginia Advanced Directives Registry. This is a free online service provided by the Virginia Department of Health, which allows medical professionals to access your advance directive on the website. To create an account, visit the Advanced Directives Registry website at connectva.org/ADR. Changing an advance directive once you've written it is easy. On the existing form you have, strike through the information you want to remove or change and add the new information if needed. Then ask 2 witnesses to sign the updated version and sign it again in front of those witnesses. These don't have to be the same witnesses that signed the document originally, but you do still need 2 witnesses. Once the form is updated and signed by you and your witnesses, give the new version of the advance directive to your healthcare agent, doctors, family members, and other important people in your life. If you made an account on the advance directives registry, make sure you upload the new version and delete the old one. If you decide you don't want your advance of directive anymore, revoking it is easy too. Simply destroy all copies and inform your healthcare agent that you're revoking your advance directive. Make sure to tell everyone else who has a copy of your advance directive that you've destroyed it, and that's it. We'd like to take this opportunity to also tell you about supported decision-making. Supported decision-making can be an alternative to guardianship for people with disabilities, as a tool to allow them to retain their decision-making capacity by choosing supporters to help them make choices. A person using a supported decision-making plan selects trusted advisors, such as friends, family members, or professionals, to serve as supporters. The supporters agree to help the person with the disability understand, consider, and communicate their decisions. This gives the person with the disability the tools to make their own informed decisions. The individual can choose different people to help them make decisions about different issues, such as healthcare, financial choices, and participation in services. If you're interested in learning more about a supported decision-making plan, call dLCV at 1-800-552-3962. If you need help creating an advance directive or a supported decision-making plan, dLCV offers free legal assistance to individuals with disabilities to help them create an advance directive or a supported decision-making plan. You can call me, Rhonda Thissen, at dLCV at 1-800-552-3962, or send me an email at rhonda.thissen@dlcv.org. Visit our website at www.dlcv.org/supported-decision-making for helpful resources and other videos. Thanks for joining me. I hope this information is helpful to you.